In 2025, finding a job is one of the hardest things to do. This feels degrading, it's overall a disgusting process. However, if you stick with me in this video, I will try to explain how you can take the current landscape to your advantage and how you can find job faster. My name is Gore, and I have worked for the biggest job platforms and I have helped from the smallest to the biggest companies find job seekers, as well as I've helped them strategize on what their process and sourcing of candidates should look like. Now, with all that being said, I have a lot of insights into the world, and if you leave in the comments the questions that you have, I can help you. However, today I just want to focus on why is it so hard for the average person to find a job. According to BLS data, it takes 3 to 5 months to find a job. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think it takes far longer than that to find a job that actually suits your needs, pays your bills, and makes you happy. Now, to understand why this is happening and why it takes so long for the average person to find a job, we have to understand, how does the company source talent? What do they do to connect with you? And majority of the companies follow one of the tools or a combination of these tools to source job seekers. And the first one, the most popular one, is going to be utilizing job boards such as Indeed and LinkedIn. And then majority of the companies are going to have internal referral systems, branding through their social media, as well as utilizing recruitment agencies. Now let's talk about where the problem starts. We have job boards that are utilized by a majority of the companies that are trying to source for talent. And when they go to those job boards, one of the few ways that they are being charged is either for an applicant, for click, or for a hire. And the way that the companies can determine how much they want to charge the employers, they have to create a marketplace where each employer is bidding against the next employer for the clicks, the applies, or the hires. So if the demand is high for certain job seekers, the cost per click, cost per application, whatever you want to choose, gets too high, which leaves a lot of the employers that don't have the approved budgets for the spend. For example, a lot of the startups, a lot of the nonprofits, they just do not get the budget to spend on their talent acquisition. And those employers fail to put their jobs in front of job seekers because the bid optimized systems work on putting the highest sponsorship dollar jobs on the first couple of pages, which leaves the employers without any sponsorships so far in the search engine that you just never get to them. Now, with this divide being created, what I've noticed is not only the job seekers don't get to find jobs, and the average median time of finding a job is getting longer and longer with time, but also at the same time, a lot of the companies are failing to make hires, which is a problem because they need to fill out the. Now, what happens on the other side of the spectrum, we also have hundreds of companies that fail to make hires for their roles. I have seen companies that have really good benefits and salary and are very competitive with jobs that are open for over 90 days, over 6 months, sometimes up to a year. And this causes them to eliminate positions, and therefore not the job seekers, not the companies don't benefit, and this is majorly caused by the job platform. Now that we understand the problem and what causes the biggest miscommunication between job seekers and employers, let's understand how you can utilize the situation to your advantage and how can you get in front of the employers. I have a 6-step process. This is intended for everyone, and the first 3 steps are intended for people who are either just starting or people who want to relaunch their career, they want to restart and potentially move to higher paying jobs. If you feel you're confident in your networking, in your resume building, and you understand what you want from your career, then feel free to skip to the step 4, where I'm going to start talking about industry specifics and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that can help you land a job. Now, moving to step number 1, this is the most important step if you're just starting or you're relaunching your career. You need to understand why you get paid what you get paid and what you have to offer. A lot of the times, people complain about working hard but not making enough. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say you have to understand why you're getting paid how much you get paid. When I used to work in retail, I was getting paid $18 an hour. However, I worked 8 to 12 hour shifts, 6 days a week, and that felt hard because I had to work the entire day, come back home, eat something really quick, go to sleep, wake up, repeat. And doing this 6 days a week is very physically demanding. However, this was only worth $18 an hour. And once I realized what problem I was solving for the company, I understood that $18 an hour is fair and actually above market. That helped me understand how the process works, what is the mentality when the companies choose how they pay, and how I can gain the skills necessary in order to start getting paid more. Moving to step number two, once you have figured out why you get paid for what you get paid, you understand your position was in the business, and you understand the landscape and the economy of the business, it's important to recognize your trade and what you're good at naturally and understand timelines. For example, in the same case scenario, when I was working at retail, I recognized that I was actually really good at talking to people, and not only talking to them, but whenever they wanted to purchase something, they listened to my opinion because I was not just upselling and trying to meet quotas. I was giving them exactly what they needed by hearing to their pain points. This helped me recognize that I am a good point between the business and the consumer, or a business and business, and I can very well help both parts by solution selling. With that being said, I quickly started doing research on what jobs that I can fit that into, and I started working on the qualifications I need to get those jobs. 1 year later, I landed a job that changed my life. When we're talking about timelines, this is an important piece that a lot of people get wrong. If I told you that it's going to take you 5 years to rebuild your life, and it's going to be pretty much 5 years of hard work, you're not going to have a lot of time to do anything else but building your life and career. That sounds very hard, demeaning, and not everybody is willing to agree to it. However, those 5 years will pass no matter what. It just depends when you want to start. If you never start, nothing will ever change and everything will always stay the same. Each industry has different timelines depending on the education they require, the years of experience, or the type of skills that they need. And you need to understand this. You need to draw a clear picture of step-by-step process and how long this is going to take you. It's easier to shoot for longer periods of times so you don't have to burn out after giving yourself 1 or 2 months to figure out your life and you don't hit the deadline. Now, moving to step number three, we're moving to the first step where you actually have an action item to take in order to best position yourself in front of recruiters. And this is obviously your resume. Now, I have gone through countless amounts of resumes. I have met with countless amounts of recruiters, and it's always the same feedback that I'm getting. Here are the things that recruiters look at when they're looking at your resume. First, how short and concise are your bullet points? You shouldn't be writing essays about what you have done. What are your accomplishments? How do you align to the job that you have applied to? And do the dates match? If you have dates that are not matching, for example, if you're mentioning that in 2018 you worked at this job and then also in 2018 you work at another job, it will show up in your background. If the dates don't make sense, they will understand it before even reaching out to you and they will put away your resume immediately. If you write long paragraphs that could have been shortened and don't really make sense, nobody's going to read them. Your resume should be short, 1 page, 1.5 page, and you should be putting the most information on the jobs that relate to the current vacancy that you've applied to. You don't need to write an essay, you need to be short and concise, and your resume needs to match your background, also your professional profile, which they will find on LinkedIn. All of the hiring managers and all of the recruiters look at your LinkedIn and they want to make sure that everything matches. Let's talk about your professional image and how you can build this in order to be step ahead of the recruiters or the hiring managers that check out your profile. Go to the companies that you're applying to, find people in your position, find somebody who has their LinkedIn built out. Once you find them, you will see that they are putting in their LinkedIn the achievements that they currently have in that position, and that most likely will be reflecting on the quotas that they have. So they're putting it in there for the next recruiter to find them, but you can utilize that to understand what that job requires from them, and you can put something that relates to those bullet points, to those quota marks, in order to make them understand that you know what this is and you have done it before. Most people are going to be interested in the step number 4, as this is going to be one of the most crucial steps, and also this is going to be something that a lot of people fail to mention. You need to meet the employers where they hire, where they spend their money, and where their attention is. If you're just applying to jobs, that's not going to work out. If you're just reaching out on LinkedIn with the same type of email, that's not going to work out. What you need to do is understand where the strategies are in 2025, and majority of employers have moved away from job boards such as Indeed and LinkedIn. They still post their jobs, but don't get this wrong. They're not manually posting their jobs. They have an applicant tracking system that distributes all of their jobs to these platforms. They move their spend, however, to recruitment agencies and internal referral systems. The recruitment agencies are small firms that will be doing the sourcing for the companies. The firms are incentivized to make hires because they get bonuses depending on those hires, and the company is incentivized to spend with them because then they don't have to have internal sourcing team. This cuts down their talent acquisition budget, and this incentivizes the sourcing team that they have hired to do a lot more work in order to increase their bonuses. If you reach out to different agencies, they will tell you what type of jobs they hire for, and the ones that align with you will immediately give your resume to the hiring managers if you pass their interview, which most likely they will help you pass. Now, moving forward to internal referral systems. This one is not as easy to get to, but honestly, it's one of the best ways to get your foot into a company because all of the referrals are being reviewed, unlike the applications. All of the referrals will have the attention of the hiring manager or the recruiter. And the way you can get these referrals is by going to the same people on LinkedIn that have your position, after reviewing their achievements, after reviewing how they've built out their LinkedIn, reach out to them, try to connect if they're within the same city, try to invite them over for a lunch. And once you have communicated with them and understood what it takes to get this job and the interview process, they are incentivized to refer you, as they are going to get a bonus and not a small one. Usually it averages anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, and this is going to help them big time no matter what position they're in. So utilize this instead of reaching out to recruiters, because there's hundreds of people reaching out to recruiters daily. Moving to step number 5. This one is annoying, but I encourage you to do this. This is going to help you understand how determined are you to find a new job, a better life. And also, this is the one that will discipline you the most. You need to give yourself a quota of at least 100 applications a week. Stop doing the quick applies. Those are never being looked at. Majority of the time, those are just never being looked at. Go to the actual websites of the companies, send 100 applications. And the reason I chose this number is because this is the number that will give you at least 4 to 5 interviews a month with different companies, so you can weigh your options and choose the job that aligns with your life. I see a lot of people showing off that they have applied to more than 400 jobs in a year and they didn't get any interviews. They only get regret letters. This is what it's going to be. You have to up the game a little bit. Everybody is applying to 400 jobs a year. That's just what happens. And a lot of the applications get thrown out. A lot of the times recruiters are not looking at it. And a lot of the times the human factor plays in it, where the recruiter will see thousands of applications and they don't want to go through it. They will check only the first 20. So you want to help yourself by increasing your chances and apply cold applications 100 per week. Step number 6 is the interview process. Now, this one seems to be fairly self-explanatory. However, a lot of people get it wrong. When you have your interview, whether it's going to be with the first hiring manager, recruiters, that doesn't really matter. You have to make sure that you don't have any distractions. There is no outside noise. Try to make sure that your dogs are not barking, kids are not playing, and nobody is talking over you while you're on the interview. And make sure that whatever surrounds you is clean. You have to look like you're prepared for this, and you have to show that you're professional. You have to make sure your phone is silenced, and you have to make sure that you're confident in the topic that you are discussing. If you make mistakes, if you're worried, That's totally okay. You can mention it right there and then, be like, hey, like I'm stressed a little bit. I'm not used to doing this type of interviews, or just be honest about what makes you stressed. And most of the time, this makes you human and this makes the hiring managers more compassionate towards you instead of just having a shaky voice, not being confident, making mistakes, and not acknowledging it. And the most important thing is, in most of the jobs that pay more, they are going to conduct some kind of tests on your knowledge. If you make mistakes and you recognize it, you have to immediately let them know after the test was conducted when they ask you, what do you think you could have done better? Be critical to yourself. This is very important. Before we end this video, I want to talk about artificial intelligence or use of it in your process of finding a job. Please do not drop your resume into any kind of AI bot and have it pretty much redo the entire thing, copy and paste it. It's never gonna work out. All of the recruiters are utilizing tools that will figure out if this was generated by any of the large language models. You're gonna get caught. You will never be getting calls from the recruiters, and all you will know is regret emails. You can use this as a tool. You can ask the AI to criticize your resume. You can use that critique in order to upgrade your resume. What I recommend doing is go to an AI, whether you're using Grok, Gemini, OpenAI, doesn't matter, and ask it to act like a hiring manager and be critical of your interview. You can give them the exact position, you can explain what your history is, and you can explain what this company is like. Then the AI will take the role of the recruiter or a hiring manager and train you a little bit. That works. But never have the AI do your work and send it or submit it to any of the employers. This is going to go terribly wrong. For those few who stayed and watched fully, I thank you for doing that. If you have any questions, please ask away. I don't know where to start or where to end these trainings. I have a lot of information and I've worked with biggest companies and helped them hire. I know a lot about their systems, I know about their practices, and I can help you find a job faster. Ask me anything in the comments below and I will make sure to make a video about it. Thank you. Bye-bye.